I'm your host, Sav.
And I'm your host, DJ.
And today we are on episode 62.
Ooh, and this ain't just any other episode.
And today we are in Hawkins. But not just regular old Hawkins. We're in
the Upside Down.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, before we get into today's episode, which is Strange Things About Stranger Things and the Montauk Project.
Like the show?
Oh, yes. The show.
Shit.
So this is going to be really, really fun. But before we get into that, we have a whole bunch of other incredible things that we want to highlight because we got some new shit for y'all. If you can't tell, if you're watching.
So what you see? Because I see a new set.
I see a lot. Oh, yeah. We got sick of that white wall. So here we are in our spaceship on a star, not too far, bringing you Deeper Than Most. Yeah, so we've got our little shelves, got our plants.
Got our plant peeking in over here.
Oh, yeah. It's lit. It's lit. But not only do we have a new set, even though it's still in progress, we also did a new sponsor segment. Yeah. So the quality of that is way better now. I know I couldn't really sit through our sponsor. It was just cringe.
Yeah, it was pretty cringy.
It was.
It's because we didn't know.
We recorded that shit like off of a phone, on a phone. Like, it was bad.
And I don't know what you're doing, but I mean, if you're really listening, you would know that we got a new intro and outro.
Oh, yes.
And they both fire.
Fire as hell. Created by yours truly. But yeah. So that's what we've got going on, you guys. We've got a whole bunch of new, fun, and exciting things coming to Deeper Than Most.
Which means new and exciting things coming to a podcast platform near you.
Yes. So, let's jump into Strange Things About Stranger Things and Montauk.
Before we do any of that, we gotta talk about this cool DOM that we got. And it's about space plants. Fucking space plants. A NASA-funded study breaks new ground in plant research. Scientists at the University of Florida have made a breakthrough discovery that has been decades in the making. On May 12th, 2022, Robert Furrow, a professor in the Horticulture and Sciences Department, teamed with an author to publish an article in the Communications Biology Journal. And he asked the question, can plants grow in regolith? And regolith is this layer, it's like a soft layer of unconsolidated rock that covers like bedrock, so like the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Or something?
Yeah.
Which is basically what the moon is made out of.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
Right. And in short answer, yes. Furrow stated that plants can grow in a lunar soil. They were just not as robust as plants on Earth.
Okay. So it's possible, but it's just not as good as it would be here.
Right. It just doesn't look as nice.
Or maybe it's our plants that don't work on other planets as well. Because what if there's plants from other extraterrestrials that, you know, because I'm sure they've got plants too, but theirs are different than ours that could work on other lunar
That's what I would think.
Lunar landscapes.
Maybe. I don't know. We just have to go deeper into the research and find out.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'm sure more will come out of this too.
Hell yeah. He believes that studying how the plant responds in lunar samples can lead to future astronauts someday growing more nutrient-rich plants on the moon. And that means they can extend their stay there and even, you know.
Right, yeah. I noticed they are really focused on leaving Earth.
I know.
I feel like there's something they're not telling us.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
What do y'all think? Do you think the higher powers of society know something that we don't know, and that's why all these rich, wealthy, powerful, and political figures are able to do all of this extra research? And why are they so concerned about it right now? Yeah, and secretive about it. I don't know. It's a little sketch to me.
Scientists use a plant that is a relative to the mustard greens and Brussels sprouts to perform their study.
Oh, that sounds bomb. I love Brussels sprouts.
Space sprouts. They used samples collected from the Apollo 11, 12, and 17 missions with only a gram of regolith for each sample.
Damn, that's not a lot at all.
The team added water and seeds and then placed each sample in a terrarium box in a clean room, and nutrients were added daily. Well, here's a little timeline. So on day 2, the seeds sprouted.
That's quick.
Hell yeah. In day 6, it was evident that they were not as lively as Earth samples, but they were still growing.
Right.
So they got them to grow, and that's the most important part.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that it's even possible is kind of cool, honestly. Because 50 years ago, we wouldn't have known that.
Exactly. We would thought it was crazy. Like, you would tell somebody 50 years ago.
Grow vegetables on Mars? No.
Exactly.
But yes, you can. Probably not as fruitful and good, but...
You can do it.
Exactly. But I'm sure they can, like, pump them up with GMOs and, like, you know, all types of other shit.
Engineered, for sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can get them
to make it better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And on day 20, just before they flowered, the team would harvest them just to study how they grew.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
It's cool shit. I mean,
more tech advances. Well, scientific tech advances.
Yeah.
So that was our DOM. We only had one, and it's time to jump into part 1 of today's episode. And we did break it down into parts. We broke it down into, I believe, 5 parts. So it's gonna be a doozy, to say the least. Like, honestly, before we jump into this, Montauk is probably one of the conspiracies that I 99.9% believe. Because, especially with MK Ultra being confirmed and there's actual documents about, like, the tests and the subjects, and a lot of things were leaked about MK Ultra that just didn't seem plausible, like it would make sense, like it doesn't seem like something the government would do, but it was. So it's not too far-fetched to think that Montauk happened. Do you believe this conspiracy?
Oh, fuck yeah. Listen, in short, any conspiracy that has to do with the government hiding shit, I 100% believe.
Because they do be hiding stuff.
Yeah.
Part 1. What is the Montauk Project conspiracy? So, Montauk, New York is a very small town, and it's home to only a few thousand. So, Montauk kind of got its name just because of the location of the facility in Montauk, New York. Okay. And I don't think a lot of people know that.
I don't think a lot of people are aware of that either, because I remember first hearing about this, and I didn't even know this place even existed.
So, Montauk is mainly a resort for the rich, and it is a very beachy place on the east end of Long Island. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of suspicious that it's a destination or a vacation destination for the rich. The rich are always close by when weird things are happening.
They be funding it.
Yeah, but like, would something like this even need funding from the rich if it's military, like, created? Because the military do what they want anyway.
It's a whole different story, because if we want to get into that, that's a whole episode.
Yeah. And speaking of whole episodes, we will be doing a whole episode on MK Ultra too, because that shit. Oh, and the Philadelphia experiment, because the Montauk Project itself is very closely related to the Philadelphia experiment. So in short, just a quick little summary of Montauk. Montauk was a World War II experiment to elude Nazi radar and aid in advanced warfare. And this was just the base itself. So the facility, like the grounds, the location of the Montauk Project, that's what it was originally for, because it was a military base. Right. The experiments led to many breakthroughs in mind control, time travel, and interdimensional portals. I hope y'all got your popcorn for this, for this episode.
It's going to be a wild ride, and I'm excited.
Yes, and your Christmas lights.
Exactly.
Because you know we got ours. Here is where the conspiracy comes in. It is unknown if the story of Montauk is real or not. And that's really the big thing about it. Is, did this shit actually happen? And honestly, I think it did. Surprisingly, this is a conspiracy that isn't widely known about, and the facility, which is the military base at Montauk, was originally called Camp Hero, which Camp Hero is actually real. And that's what I was reading earlier with Montauk being a World War II experiment to elude Nazi radar and to advance in warfare. So, yeah, they were doing something.
I hate like,
especially when the military's involved. You know they're doing something.
and it's always so weird when like government officials like they'll go to a conference and people will ask them about stuff like this and they just like completely evade the question.
They got to.
Yeah.
I mean, you in the hot seat.
Oh, definitely.
Of course, the public wants to know, and you probably want to tell them, but then you looking off right to the stage, and people are eyeballing you behind the curtain like you better not say a word. You're not gonna say anything. When the Men in Black come through. You don't play with the Men in Black.
You can't, bro.
Man, we gotta do a Men in Black episode too, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's a conspiracy or not, or if it's factual, but pretty sure the Men in Black is real.
I think,
or there's a conspiracy that it is.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. There's definitely a conspiracy that they're real.
Okay.
The Montauk Project was believed to take place from January 1971 to August 12th, 1983.
That's a long time.
That is a long ass time. Jesus.
That's some years.
Oh, yeah. Before the projects in 1942, the military base Camp Hero was originally designed as a covert naval base.
Yes, which is what we talked about earlier.
This base was built completely underground, as deep as 12 levels filled with many tunnels.
12 levels. I wonder, like, how deep that actually was.
I would love to, like...
Because, like, what is a level?
Right.
But that whole idea of Montauk being as deep underground as 12 levels came from Preston B Nichols' book about Montauk, which is where a lot of the information, like, for the theory comes from, because he detailed basically everything that was going on that he could recollect about the project. So, according to him, it went as deep as 12 levels. That's not confirmed, but none of this shit's confirmed. So, we kind of just here.
I mean, who's here to tell him he's a liar?
Exactly, yeah.
At Camp Hero, there were bunkers in the hills to hide ammo. Camp Hero is 278 acres and is now a state park. That's fucking creepy.
It is. No, it really is.
That's fucking creepy, bro. Think about it. Like, this is a place where people just think, or, you know, or have heard about this experiment and know things about it, and the place that shit probably actually did go down, and now it's a state park where everybody can just go and
freely. Yeah. And not only that, but if what happened actually happened, it doesn't really seem smart for them to have anybody there.
Right.
Because the reason why it ended is, we'll get into it later, but I don't want to jump ahead because it's crazy. But the reason why it ended would be good enough reason to not have this be a state park after the fact. Right. It just wouldn't make sense. But even though the location is a state park, the actual radio tower where most of the stuff was going on is what people believe. It's like blocked off. You can't go in there. So it's restricted. Of course, you know, kids and teenagers then found their way in, doing graffiti and doing drugs and having sex, doing whatever the hell, rituals and shit. You don't know what they were doing. But, yeah, so it's not open to the public. But the rest of the area is. It's really weird.
Of course, they would block off that part of the
like, why? Why not? Like, why not turn it into a gift shop or something and, like, actually make some money off of it?
Probably would scare everybody.
Especially now that Stranger Things is a show, like, and obviously it's very successful. You could definitely,
bank off that.
Yeah, you know, sell merch in there for Stranger Things and Montauk, and, like, I don't know. I feel like there's a like, you know, in America, we've been trying to capitalize off of everything. Exactly. So why would they not try to capitalize off of something like this? They capitalized off of Area 51.
And the moon landing.
Yes. And Roswell. Yeah. So why would you not capitalize off of Montauk? It'd be a good place to do it. Exactly. Unless it actually is dangerous and they don't want people there.
Exactly. The history of Camp Hero goes even further back. It was around before the Revolutionary War, and at that time was known as Fort Hero.
So this shit has been around for a long time.
This shit deep.
Yeah. It's had many names, too, but they like the hero aspect of it all, which is kind of interesting, because what do heroes have?
Exactly. Superpowers.
Exactly.
The military base itself was located on the literal edge of Long Island, giving the military a perfect view of the ocean and sky for possible attacks. It was well hidden in the trees and various hills. It was also somewhat secluded, but not too far from the town.
So kind of the perfect area.
Exactly. Pretty interesting location.
It's private, but not completely private, because it wasn't like hard to find. It's not hard to find at all. You can easily ride up to the place. But the fact that they took into account to have the perfect view of the ocean, I mean, it sounds like an ideal base, honestly. Like if it was used properly for actual military work, yeah, that's a really good location for a base to be.
Definitely. You can form an attack there. You can be defensive. It's a perfect spot. The Montauk Conspiracy itself got its start in 1992 due to the self-published book series that we just mentioned, The Montauk Project Experiments in Time by Preston Nichols and Peter Moon.
Yes, and we're going to get into Preston Nichols, and Peter Moon was somebody else who allegedly worked on the Montauk Projects. And apparently they like worked together, and that's how they were able to kind of collab and get all the details and information put together, because I'm sure they both had different details that they remembered. Right. And so they were able to combine them to kind of paint the whole picture. So yeah, I kind of want to read that book.
I'm down too.
Sounds interesting. Well, it's a series of books, actually. I think there's 5 books or something like that.
Yes, I think so.
So to continue on, 1992 wasn't the first time this theory broke out, actually. As far back as the mid-'80s, many had already heard rumors of the U.S. military conducting experiments for psychological warfare. I don't know. I don't like that. Why? Why do y'all need to do anything dealing with psychological warfare?
It gets weirder and weirder with time. First it was psychological, then it was bio, and
nuclear.
Then
It's like, damn, Jesus. First you trying to control certain people, then you trying to affect our ecosystem, kill it off, and then you talking about nuclear, you trying to kill us all. What's the point in even fighting at that point? Like, I swear to God, why are you, like, if you have to use a nuclear weapon, everybody's lost at that point. There's no need to have a war. We're all dead. Like, it just makes no sense to me. Yeah. Montauk Project was originally called the Phoenix Project in Brookhaven Labs, but once it was relocated to Camp Hero, the name changed. The reason for this sudden move in facilities was that they needed a bigger satellite dish to harness enough energy for their experiments.
Why would you need... I don't get it. Like, why would you need all of that? Why?
So when you hit like certain levels of frequency, it can affect your consciousness, right. And it can affect your psychological way of thinking. Right. It's because you know how we have brain waves. It's kind of like radio waves, and the two can merge in a sense. But obviously, the radio waves are probably going to be stronger, especially with a big ass satellite dish like this. Exactly. It's harnessing energy from anywhere, all types of places, especially in New York. There's plenty of places for it to draw energy from. And so they would use that to get into the minds of their test subjects and psychologically break them down.
Scary shit, man.
Yeah.
That's some scary shit.
Very similar to MK Ultra. Montauk provided a more private and secure location for the tests to take place. So like we mentioned earlier, it was kind of just like the perfect military base. And if it's the perfect military base, it's probably the perfect experiment base as well.
And now we're going to do part 2. And this one is about Preston B Nickels.
And this is where the shit gets crazy. Like, we're talking about some wild stuff in this episode. It's hard to wrap your head around. Like, because first off, not a lot of people believe in this stuff. And not a lot of people think that this stuff exists and that it's real. But how can you make it up? Like,
yeah,
I don't get it.
that's my biggest question. Like, how can you disprove it?
Yeah.
Like, why would somebody make that up?
Exactly. Multiple people at that. There's a lot of people that came out after the book went out, or after the book was released. There was a lot of people that came forward saying that they participated in this project willingly or unwillingly. And I agree. I don't see how you can deny all of these people their truth. Like, maybe their truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And same thing with, like, alien abductions. Like, what is the point in making up an alien abduction? You know, like, what do you gain from that? You've never seen not one person, like, get rich off this shit. So, I mean, yeah, they'll get a little bit of media coverage, maybe a book or a TV show, documentary. But, like, other than that, what are you really gaining?
Right. It's always been weird when people, like, try to tell these people that they're lying or, like, oh, that's not real. Like, how do you know? You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you haven't seen it, but you haven't not seen it either. So it could be real, but it might not.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't know. So for you to just say straight up, it's not real, you don't fucking know, because it might be.
Exactly. So, Preston Nichols was born May 24th, 1946 in Long Island. He has a few degrees, majoring in parapsych. And parapsych is mental phenomena, hypnosis, telepathy, and etc. And his next degree was in psychology, which is the study of the mind and behavior. And his last one was electrical engineering.
That's a cool little mix.
Yeah, that's actually a cool little trio right there.
I didn't know that you can major in parapsychology. I didn't know that was really a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought it was literally just only psychology. I didn't think there was like different ones you could
And
pick.
it's actually like the study of hypnosis, telepathy, like things dealing with the mind. It's very interesting. I kind of wish I would have did a class on that.
I mean, it's never too late.
Nah, I'm good. I got enough classes to get through as is.
Nichols claims that he wrote the book along with Peter Moon after recovering memories of his time as a researcher for the project.
How would you feel? You wake up one day and you realize that you're not really you, and that you participated, willingly or unwillingly, in such a horrific conspiracy. Like, what?
I would freak the fuck out, especially if, it depends on how I found out though. Like, if
I mean, it seems like he literally just started to remember things. Like, he just came to and had a realization. Like, wait,
I was a part of some crazy shit.
Yeah.
No,
because those memories were purposefully suppressed.
It would fuck me up. Like, it would really, it would send me into a spiral, because like that means everything I know is practically a lie.
Exactly. You're even down to your name and your age, like everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would be freaking out about that shit too, but I would probably go into hypnosis just to try to see if I can recollect more, and get just a more clear understanding and a picture of what happened to me, like what I went through, because damn, if you are remembering the shit that was going on at Montauk, yeah, you gonna need counseling, therapy, something.
All of it.
Because it's not pretty at all. He also gave vivid details of the interior of the facility in question. And honestly, how can you do that if you've never been?
It's like we said, how can you make it up?
Right. Because what if that shit is real? Like, and then they go look, and it's exactly what he said. 12 levels. He was able to recount their procedures, advanced technology used, and numerous paranormal incidents that he had witnessed. Damn.
That's too vivid, man.
It is. It really is. It honestly just reminds me of an alien abduction. Like, you start to remember things, and I mean, it's just this big wow, like, you know, this wow moment, like, aha, yeah, definitely an epiphany. God, that's a mind fuck. That's a trip. Like, damn, I'd be scared. I'd be having nightmares. Later, Nichols recovered repressed memories of his true identity, that he himself had worked on the Montauk Project experiments. So beforehand, he was just getting memories of this place and what it was and what was going on there. But over time, he realized who he was and how he contributed to these projects. Damn.
Damn, that'd be some scary shit to like
Talk about my life is a lie.
Sit there and realize, like, my God.
Yeah.
Like, you just in the bathroom one day, just washing your face, and then boom, you just getting flashbacks or like just remembering shit.
Right, exactly. Once the book was published and people began to read about Montauk, others started to come forward to say that they too had been victims to inhumane research. Imagine, like, you know, being around this during this time and this book comes out, this dude, you know, you just are interested in it, so you read it, and this dude's just telling this insane story about this experience. And then you start to realize, this sounds a little too familiar. I think that I might have been a subject in this shit. Like, I might have been psychologically broken down from this, and my memory has been wiped. Right. Man, that'd be a trip. How would you feel? Like,
I don't even know how you begin to, like, process that.
I don't think I could process that.
And who do you go to, like,
You just wake up one day and realize, damn, I've been violated in many, many ways.
Right, like, how do you even begin to get that information out there? Like, what do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. I mean, because who's going to believe you?
Exactly.
People don't like to believe this type of shit. Y'all weird.
Do y'all think y'all might have been subject to some experiments?
Yeah, let us know. And let us know if you believe in Montauk yourself. Because, I don't know, this is just one of those conspiracies where there's just too many things, too much damning evidence for it to not have some type of substance or reality attached to it. Exactly. Just like JFK, MK Ultra, which was a conspiracy at first, and then it was confirmed. And it was very similar to this shit. So I don't think it's too far-fetched. Take the time to enjoy our new sponsor.
And we will see you soon.
Have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free and easy to use.
It has creation tools that allow for recording and editing straight from your phone or computer. This means you can view your listener count, upload vidcasts, and personalize your show, making it the best user experience around.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many more, making it so you don't have to do it individually.
You can even monetize the podcast without minimum listenership.
Anchor has all the tools to make a podcast in one place, like adding files, sound effects, and audience messages.
So download Anchor today at anchor.fm, and that's anchor.fm, ANCHOR.fm.
So what are you doing? Start your own podcast now.
And we're back.
Like an upside down butt crack.
Ooh, not an upside down butt crack.
Oh yeah.
And now we're going to get into part 3 of this awesome fucking episode. How are you guys liking it so far?
Let us know. Give it a thumbs up, share it.
Exactly. It's like I always say, tell your mom, tell your mom's friend, tell her damn dog. I don't care. Just tell somebody.
Hold on. Speaking of somebody, who are we? We didn't even mention this, but we were kind of dressed for the occasion.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Rolling back to the 80s.
Exactly.
You're serving. Can I tell you who you're serving and you tell me who I'm serving?
I'm in there. Let's go.
You're serving Dustin at the top. Lucas at the torso. And you give him Mike with the legs.
Okay. Ooh. You're giving me a lot right now. The shirt is giving me Daphne and Nancy.
Yeah, this is a Nancy vibe.
I'm loving
Carrying some books.
And I fuck with it. That's a dope ass shirt, even though you didn't really like it at first.
Yeah, I know.
Bottoms are definitely giving me Joyce Byers out here. Yeah. You gotta find your son.
On a mission.
But this face giving me L, and that's what we need. All right, now we're gonna get into part 3: the claims, the beliefs, and more on Montauk. Like mentioned earlier, Montauk was alleged to be under authority of the U.S. military and financed by Nazi gold that was recovered post-World War II.
It wasn't the rich folks funding the project.
The radio tower is the only structure left of Montauk, which is above ground.
Which is why they should turn it into a tourist attraction.
I'm just saying, make it a theme park. Fuck it. I don't
know about a theme park now. I don't think I would trust getting on a crazy ass ride with all that shit that's happened there.
Look,
no
man,
thanks.
I wouldn't either, but there are some people that would.
Yeah, that's true. Supposedly, and there is also a little door, and we'll put up a picture of it. There's supposed to be an entrance to the tunnels and to the lower level that you can get to from above ground. Mm-hmm. But nobody's able to get into it because supposedly all entrances into the underground structure of Montauk was sealed off when all this shit shut down, was sealed off, cemented in. Just the entrances are cemented in, and that the tunnels are still open. But I heard that the tunnels are flooded with water. So even if you were to get in, I mean, it's full of water. So it's not like you can just walk freely around.
Wow, okay.
But I don't think every chamber or every level is filled with water.
Right. I wonder what's down there.
Me too, but I'm scared just thinking about it and thinking about the shit that they were doing and the things that they were summoning. Y'all, they were summoning.
They were doing some shit.
Extra dimensional beings. I don't know about y'all, but I cannot fathom or imagine what an extra dimensional being could look like or be. It's not even in our dimension.
And it's one of those things, the shit that they were doing and seeing is shit that normal people could not comprehend.
Yeah.
You'd be able to take it, because what is that?
Yeah, scary shit. Honestly,
super fucking scary. Like I said, the radio tower is the only structure left that can be seen above ground. However, all access is restricted today.
And we got into this quite a bit earlier. But I don't understand why they would turn it into a state park and not use the tower. There's got to be something going on with that tower.
Yeah, why make it a state park? The large radar or satellite is 120 feet tall and weighs 70 tons. Jesus.
Yeah, it's really, really big.
So they were trying. Trying.
Yeah. Well, the tower was already there. At the location before the projects were moved there. They moved there because that tower was what they wanted and needed to harness enough energy to actually break into somebody's subconscious and into their psychological state of being. So, but my question is, how did they figure all this shit out? What?
Exactly.
How do you know that?
There's so much that's just unknown, the specifics.
And y'all were doing a lot. Time traveling. We're going to get more into it, but they were doing crazy stuff. Really just unfathomable things.
Montauk is believed to be an extension of MK Ultra and the Philadelphia experiment, which we talked about earlier, and we're definitely going to cover both of those at some point.
Those will be fun.
Hell yeah. Nichols' book highlights experiments in the mind control and being able to materialize things, which was alleged to be possible through the tower transmitting a radio signal in the 425 to 450 megahertz range.
Yeah, so apparently it's just so high of a frequency that it can literally disrupt your own brain waves and break through.
That shit is so crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is.
It's I always say, we don't even know what we're actually capable of. So if we were to play with these frequencies and actually figure out how to use our minds, what the fuck could this world be?
Oh yeah, especially if regular everyday people could use that shit.
Right.
And you know what it kind of reminds me of, just that in particularly, is Lucy.
Ooh, I love that movie.
Me too. But yeah, how she was able to unlock literal parts of her brain, because I don't know if you guys know this, but we're only able to use a certain percentage of our brains, and it's not very high.
Actually, 10%.
We're only allowed to use 10% of our
10%.
brain? Let me see. I wonder if it's progressed or changed recently.
I would hope so, but even that alone is kind of cool though. But just 10%. So what happens if you unlock 20 or 30?
Exactly. Okay, well, of course this shit says, you might be surprised to learn that humans use virtually every part of their brains.
Well, yeah, of course, in like
But-
everyday function, but on a
Right.
deeper level, we only use 10%.
Exactly, yeah. So, 10% is not a lot.
At all.
And 10% out of 100? Like, imagine what we could do, like you said, at 20, 30, 50, 100.
I wonder what like the power scale is. Like, I wonder how it works, you know?
And I wonder if us unlocking more of our brain would allow us to eventually make our way onto the Kardashev scale.
I think we
Because we would be a higher dimensional being.
I think we would make our way on and shit probably past it if we figure out how to do like how to use 100% of our brain and like how to harness.
I mean, we wouldn't be past the Kardashev scale, but it would put us on the map. Because right now we're at 0.
Yeah, we're not even.
We would
on
probably
that
be at like a 1 or a 2 if we could use 100% of our brain.
Yeah, I'd say we definitely would hit 2. The signal would penetrate through human consciousness and would make the subject susceptible to being controlled by their mind. Like we mentioned earlier, that's
That's the scariest thing.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I can't even sit here and like think about it because like how?
Yeah.
Like how?
Like, if you guys really sit down and think about it, our mind and our brains and our thoughts are the only thing that we truly have, like, to ourselves. That nobody else can know about because it's in your head. Like, only you know what's going on in your head. So it's kind of like a safe space for everyone, is being in your own mind, in a sense. And to just know that somebody could make their way in there and do whatever the hell they want and make you do what they want. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh, like, you're not in control at that point. If somebody's controlling your mind, they're controlling all of you.
That's fucking scary.
They can fuck your whole life up.
Literally.
So telepathy was a major part of these experiments, as well as psychokinesis. And you want to tell them what psychokinesis is?
Basically, think about bending a spoon with your mind.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
It's kind of the same thing as telekinesis.
Aren't they like one and the same?
No, it is one and the same. These projects took it as far as opening space and time portals to various dimensions in time and space.
So, this is actually cool as fuck to me. I know that we see these type of depictions in like movies and like cartoons and TV shows, but I wonder what it actually looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Look at that. I don't think they want us talking about it. You see what happened?
Yeah, our lighting changed. What's crazy to me is they were not only opening portals in time for time travel, they were opening portals in space, like to space. So to literal other dimensions. How?
Just
That's impressive.
does that involve frequencies too? Like,
Yeah, all of this was done with that radio tower. Because it was all done through the mind.
let's not act like that shit ain't fire. It's
It
scary.
is. But in the 80s, like, that's what's just hard for me to grasp. They were doing this shit in the 80s. How come none of this shit has come into fruition now? With all the technology that we do have.
That's true. That's true.
How is time travel still not a thing, supposedly, if they were able to crack time travel? Well, kind of, though. Because there are holes in time travel. And time travel is a very tricky and dangerous thing to play with. Nichols mentions how the moon landings were fake and that there are holes in space-time. And the holes that are in space-time create the portals for time travel.
Bruh, I just...
We getting deeper than most in this episode because this shit is like a mind fuck right now.
I just want to see it. Like, I just want to see what it look like. I ain't gonna touch
What
it.
look like?
The portal. I just want to see the portal. I just want to see.
It's creepy to think about.
Yeah.
Like, what if it looks like a black hole?
That's what I'm thinking.
Ew, that's scary. And, you know, I think did we watch a what if video about, like, if you were to get sucked into a black hole?
Yeah, we did.
And it was showing all these visuals of, like, supposedly a black hole and what it would look like. That shit is terrifying. Like, that shit basically just, like, rips you into shreds and, like, mumble and jumbos that shit back together. And then spits you out. Yeah. Ugh. That's terrifying. Because if you go through a black hole, you're gonna die. Like,
literally.
instantly. You're done for.
Man, I know I bring this show up a lot on the podcast, but if you ever seen Futurama, most of the shit that we talk about, you probably see it in the show.
The book also details contact with aliens, and not only just like contacting and talking to aliens, but aliens and scientists of Montauk were working together on these experiments, plus working together to abduct runaway children. You know, people were just like going missing, and you chop it up to them just going missing. Like, why would you imagine this? I don't think at that time, if I were a parent and my son went missing, I don't think I would imagine this shit. Like, I'd be like, oh my God, who has my child? Like, not, damn, they're breaking his mind and he's about to time travel to 16 BC. Like,
bro, no, it's so crazy because, like, as we're here now, like, freaking out about all this information, imagine being somebody in the 80s and figuring out about all this information.
Mass hysteria.
Literally.
Just imagine, like, being a runaway kid and, you know, you just ran away from home and you're, like, lonely on the street just trying to find some bread or something to chew on, and an alien just come up to you.
Or a waffle.
And boom, you wake up in Montauk. Like, hell no. Or you get abducted by an alien and they just take you to Montauk.
That's trash.
Because they're working with the scientists.
That's so ass.
Yeah, if I'm getting abducted by aliens, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here.
And y'all playing
And
with
y'all
the
just taking me down the
scientists.
road.
Right.
What the fuck? I feel like, for the most part, it was the scientists kidnapping children. But imagine just being, like, worked on by an alien and a human. Like, that would be a sight to see. It's already enough being abducted by aliens and they're staring at you while you're laid out on a table. But to see an alien and then a regular human scientist just walk up next to him and he's not freaking out, like, that would freak me out even more. Most people believe that the technology used in these experiments was from the aliens as well. So the aliens, from the sound of it, contributed quite a bit to Montauk. The idea behind the technology being from aliens is smarter beings equals smarter technology. And like we said earlier, if they're doing this shit in the 80s, how were they doing this shit? The 80s was not that advanced. Like, if this was possible, it would probably be possible now. But we know for a fact that it's not possible now with the technology that we have.
Or do we?
It does make sense that the technology they were using was from aliens. Because, yeah, the aliens are going to have the high-tech shit. They're going to come with it.
Got the hookup.
The book also mentions creating hybrid creatures and oddities. Genetically cloning the best characteristics from 2 or more animals to create an apex predator.
That shit gross.
Yeah, it's gross and, like, terrifying. What the fuck? Like, what are you creating this shit for? What do you need it for? Honestly.
It's the type of shit you see in a video game.
It is, but, like, why? What are they planning on doing with this shit? What, for war? Is war really that serious?
Is that deep?
Damn.
Nah, but, like, my thing is, like you said, yeah, what would you need that for? Because if it's going to be the apex predator, that means it can take humans out.
Exactly. That shit is taking everybody out.
Exactly.
And that's why I say at that point, it don't matter. Y'all don't need to be fighting. If it ends in everybody's death, what is the point?
Exactly.
Nobody wins. Why are you fighting?
There's no win. To continue on, not only were kids abducted, but so were homeless people, which is so fucked up in its own right.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it kind of makes me sad. And not even, like, I don't know. It just makes me sad that, for one, they were abducting kids, if this is all real. Because, like, you're abducting children. That's bottom line. You're abducting children.
Nothing more needs to be said.
Exactly. And the fact that they were picking up homeless people just really fucks me up, too. Because, like, you're taking advantage of somebody who's already at their lowest of lows and in a very vulnerable position in life. And just breaking them down to nothing. Like, ugh. And these children that haven't even gotten a chance to live life, you're breaking them down to nothing. For what?
Exactly. Only few of the abducted would survive these mind-bending tests.
Do you think you would survive? Yes or no?
Fuck no.
Like your mind being probed?
I don't think so at all. I I don't think so. The
think I
frequency
would
is too
either.
high.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
But like, I feel like the reason they picked kids and homeless people specifically is because they're the easiest to manipulate.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what they were thinking. And with kids, they can like gain trust and they can like literally shape and mold them into the type of adult that they want them to be.
Exactly.
You're literally creating a mini army, a mini soldier, like into whatever you want it to be. And then homeless people, they're helpless. Like they don't have anybody. And that's really what their big thing was taking people who they believed wouldn't be missed or that people wouldn't be looking for them. Which I'm sure with most of these children and homeless people, that wasn't the case.
Subjects would be forced to do many different psychological tasks, like practicing teleportation.
That'd be kind of fun, not gonna lie.
They get to do all the cool shit.
The cool shit, but then again, at what cost?
That's true.
Sounds cool to be able to do these things, honestly. But just scary knowing who it's in the hands of.
It seems like a real brain scrambler.
It is, literally. Now we're going to get into part 4, the chair, espionage, and portals. Oh my. The Montauk chair mentioned in Nichols' book supposedly used electromagnetism to further the psychic powers of whoever sat in it.
That's cool as fuck.
It
Scary
is.
as well, though.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, like, the fact that this planet relies so heavily on magnetism is the most interesting thing. Electromagnetism, even like the Earth's gravitational pull is considered like magnetism. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's all interesting how it all works.
The chair was designed to amp up psychic abilities. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I wish that I had psychic abilities. But I've also heard that anybody could harness or, tap into their psychic abilities. You just have to be open to it and learn it and understand how to do it.
It's all about practice.
Yeah, and practicing it. So I guess we're all capable in a sense, but real world psychics are the ones that have actually tapped into it and learned about themselves and their abilities and have figured out how to control them and utilize them. So going back into the chair, there were actually 2 Montauk chairs. So the first one had time travel glitches that the subjects that they were sending back or forward in time didn't have a way to come back to their present timeline. And apparently that's true with time travel in general. You'll never, if you leave, you'll never be able to go back exactly where you were in that moment. It'll either be a couple minutes before, a couple minutes after, it'll be off, and you might not even go back to the same timeline. You might go to a parallel universe or an alternate universe. But you wouldn't know the difference, or would you?
Bruh, if you did, that's fucked.
With all these time travel glitches, they created a second one, which is the one that supposedly worked, I guess you could say, or worked better. The abducted kids were a big topic in Nichols' book. Some were no older than 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
One of the major things that aided in these experiments was the fear that you had while being experimented on. So apparently there's a lot of energy that can be harnessed in our fear, which reminds me of my favorite Disney movie, Monsters, Inc. Because what they were doing was showing these children, and obviously children are more scared of everything. They're scared of more things in general. And it's easier to scare them. So they were scaring these children and harnessing that energy, from their fear. But they weren't just scaring them with, locking them in a dark room or, just trying to scare them. No, they were showing these children, actual scary things, aliens probably, or extra dimensional beings, things that would scare us. They were showing these children to get the, epitome of their fear, to get the epitome, the top notch level of fear that they can get out of somebody.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's so fucking creepy because the fact that they're literally preying off the fear of babies. These kids can't fathom and, completely don't know what this shit is. And, like you said, they're already scared of everyday life because they don't know what it is. So just imagine, like,
showing them a monster, like a literal monster.
Yeah, an actual fucking monster.
Or a hybrid animal that they created. Like, golly, that's terrifying. And that's hella fucked up if this actually happened.
Yeah.
The stolen kids were referred to as the Montauk Boys. Nichols stated that they were snatched from the streets or taken from their homes, which we did mention earlier as well. Nichols mentioned that children were so psychologically broken down from the experiments that most would forget all about their time at Camp Hero for the rest of their lives.
So, mission accomplished.
Yeah. It's like they just wiped their slate clean. That's creepy as hell. The children that were sought out for were specifically blonde hair, blue eyes, orphans, and boys who run away in the area. But I've also read some articles saying that it wasn't just the Montauk Boys, that there were actually like little girls there too, and just like homeless women in general. Like there were guys and girls involved in these experiments. It wasn't all boys.
So to continue on, we're going to talk about one of the supposed Montauk Boys, Duncan Cameron. And like I just said, Duncan Cameron was one of the supposed Montauk Boys, and he had substantial psychic abilities, including the ability to manifest objects with his mind.
I'm sorry, but he OP.
OP as fuck. Cause what?
You can manifest, not move objects. You can manifest objects with your mind.
Like create matter with your mind.
Like, what? How?
However, his abilities were limited to things he had seen or imagined in his head.
That makes sense. And remember, didn't we have a little like side conversation about this one day? It's like, how can you imagine something, or how can you picture something that you've never seen? But then I like thought about what I had said, and I was like, actually, it's very possible to picture something you haven't seen, because how do things get created? Obviously, you don't see it to create it. You are the creator. So,
using his power alone, the objects he would manifest would fade away right after appearing due to weak signal. But with the help of the radio tower, tests were conducted that allowed Duncan to manifest an object and make it permanent in the physical world. Damn.
You just saying that? I just want to let y'all know. That's where they had all this shit fucked up. Okay? Yeah, they shouldn't have figured that shit out. If they did. Because that's really what ended all this. Was them getting to that point. Him able to imagine the things you can create. You're able to manifest something from your imagination and make it permanent in the real world. Like, just think about that.
Duncan was abducted and taken to Camp Hero at only 12 years old, and that is also when he did his first test.
So young.
That's young as fuck. Very impressionable.
So now we're just going to read some passages from interviews and actual, like, not witness accounts, but personal accounts. All of this is from Preston's point of view. Nichols described another experiment in his book that is curiously similar to remote viewing. And if you don't know what remote viewing is, it's the ability to see through somebody else's eyes. That's the best way to put it. Remote viewing is a paranormal concept that was actually researched by the CIA. And this is something that is also included in Stranger Things. But what Nichols has to say about this is pretty crazy. He's quoted saying, "The first experiment was called the seeing eye. With a lock of a person's hair or other appropriate object in his hand, Duncan could concentrate on the person and be able to see as if he was seeing through their eyes, hearing through their ears, and feeling through their body. He could actually see through other people anywhere on the planet."
Nichols describes that he and others like him were subject to horrific abuse. He's quoted saying, "When the experiment started, they target expendable boys like orphans, runaways, or the children of drug addicts.
That's so fucked up.
The kind of kids no one would really come looking for."
Which is what we tapped into earlier.
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier. He's also quoted saying, "The aim was to fracture your mind so they could program you. They would change the temperature from very hot to very cold. They would starve you, then overfeed you. And I remember being beaten with a wooden pole." Nichols is also quoted saying, "And they loved to hold your head underwater until you nearly drowned, and that was effective. It makes a person likely to listen and to obey their rescuer. They also use LSD to put our brains into an altered state.
Imagine being on mind-altering drugs while they are probing and fucking with your mind.
Exactly.
Oh my god. No wonder why people, like, actually, there were fatalities because of this, supposedly, allegedly.
Right.
But that there were fatalities because of this shit. Because, god damn, like, how do you survive that?
Exactly.
I mean, some people freak out so bad on hallucinogenics and drugs in general that it can result fatally.
Right.
But adding, like, mind control and probing into the mix, that's taking it too far. And electromagnetism? Oh, man, that's too much. It's also stated that the project staffers sexually abused the children in order to break them down. It was alleged that Montauk Boys were sent to Mars and back to biblical times via the project's portals. Biblical times? No thanks. Damn.
You can have it.
To Mars though, and you notice that's where we trying to go now.
They're trying to dig up them remnants of the project.
Yeah.
And start all over again.
They're trying to summon the Montauk Boys that are already here.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days, as they were perfecting the coordinates, a lot of boys were simply lost, he said. I still have nightmares about it today. I wasn't there when the Montauk chair was shut off, but I felt it, like I had suddenly been unplugged from electricity. And this is a statement coming from another alleged Montauk boy. Thinking how many kids or how many boys or people that they lost in time. That made me scratch my head.
Wow.
Because, like, you just keep testing it and sending people out there and they're not coming back.
Right. Biblical times and Mars, bro. Like.
And it makes me think of, so there's, like, pictures of supposed time travelers that are, like, on the internet. Maybe we can do a time traveler episode and, you know, get into all of that. But, yeah, and what if, like, some of these kids and some of these people were the ones in those pictures of time travel. And it's because of this.
It's all connected.
That's what I'm saying.
To continue on, once taken, Montauk Boys would be psychologically broken down so they could be controlled by the input of subconscious demands.
Damn. So this is what we were talking about. They probably roaming the earth right now, just living their life as regular people, you know, unsuspecting victims of this crazy project. And at any moment, whoever, and what's crazy is we don't even know, like, who started this shit, who was running this, and whose idea this was. But the idea is that at any moment, whoever was running this shit could, like, snap a finger, flip a switch, whatever, and you be unwillingly summoned to do a task, if that makes sense. If they say, I need you to nuke the Eiffel Tower, you're gonna stop what you're doing and go nuke the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly. Like,
not insane.
At any cost, like at any means.
Yeah, because
like,
you're on a mission.
You're gonna figure it out. Many theorize that if the boys didn't achieve psychic goals set by the scientists, they would be murdered and buried at Camp Hero. But no bodies have ever been found at the site.
When you say that, it makes me think, like, maybe they were killing people there. And, I mean, if this shit happened, yeah, people were dying. But if they were buried at Camp Hero, I don't think they were just buried on the surface, dug a couple feet below. No, they are down there in those lower levels, I'm sure. 12. Yeah, or in, like, a chamber that, like, you know, is a smoke chamber or something, or, like, a fire chamber, and it disintegrates the bodies. So I don't believe, like, obviously no bodies would be found, because you really think they'd be that dumb to just be burying folks on the surface?
Evidence?
Yeah, especially now that it's a state park. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Do you think that they were killing and burying people there?
Killing and burying? I think so.
Where were they burying them, do you think?
And that's my thing. Like I said, I think they were like you said, I think they're definitely in the lower levels, because that's possibly a lot of people, and you gotta find somewhere to put them.
Yeah, and Thinking about the location of Montauk, because they were on the cliff edge of the ocean, they could have put like weights on the bodies and just dropped them in the ocean.
Exactly.
And called it a day.
So many possibilities.
Yeah. Too many possibilities.
With the control of time-space travel and remote viewing, the Montauk Boys would be sent to various points in time. For example, to 6037 BC to visit an ancient civilization in order to examine the statue of a horse. That would be the same horse on Nichols' book cover.
So I wonder what that horse means. Like, what is the theory behind the horse? And I've also heard that same horse is in the same pose as the horse at the Denver airport. Yeah. And there's a whole conspiracy behind the Denver airport itself as well. But the horse is in the same pose on the book, at the airport, and the statue.
Those who were released back into society were programmed to know themselves as alternate personas or identities. They had sleeper cells implanted in them that could be activated at any time when needed.
Oof, no thanks. I wish they would do that to me.
Like I said, y'all can have it.
Now we're going to get into the fall of it all. In the early 80s, the experiments finally ended. Nichols claimed things finally went too far, even for the researchers and scientists responsible. Now, what I'm about to read is terrifying in more ways than I can imagine. Because if this shit is real, it honestly makes me think that this shit, like, they didn't just get rid of it. Like, their theory behind shutting all of this down was to send what they had summoned back to where it came from. Because if the project shut down, then this thing can't exist, is how they thought of it. But I personally don't think that it works like that. If Duncan was able to manifest something to become physical and permanent in the real realm, yeah, he's here. It's here. Whatever. This is another quote from Preston. He's quoted saying, "We finally decided we'd had enough of the whole experiment. The contingency program was activated by someone approaching Duncan while he was in the chair and simply whispering, 'The time is now.' At this moment, he let loose a monster from his subconscious." No. I'm out of there. I'm gone. And the transmitter actually portrayed a hairy monster. So when they were doing the test, before he would physically manifest an object, it would show on their monitors, like, the object forming, and then it would actually appear in real life. So before they saw this shit appear in real life, they were looking at it on a monitor. Ooh, that's terrifying. The monster was big, hairy, hungry, and nasty, but it didn't appear underground in the null point. It showed up somewhere on the base. So just somewhere, anywhere. It would eat anything it could find, and it smashed everything in sight. Several different people saw it, but almost everyone described a different beast.
Oh, that's crazy.
That makes me think of, Bird Box.
Exactly.
How, like, nobody could, like, see it unless you saw it, but everybody pictures something different. Right. And there's so many different drawings of this monster and this beast because I think the beast, because fear is subjective. And not everybody's scared of the same things. So what's scary to me might not be scary to you and vice versa. So the idea is that this monster obviously whoever is looking at it would, appear as something that would scare them, that would be their worst fear. So that makes sense as to why people described a different beast, because different things would scare different people.
That truly is the definition of a monster. Like,
yeah.
Something that can
emulate, a shape-shifting one too.
Something that can emulate anyone's deepest fear and project it at them and, like, come at it. That's crazy.
Right. Nichols said they had to destroy all of the equipment in order to remove this creature from existence and send it back to its original dimension, or something to that effect. I don't think it worked, though. I'm sorry, but I just don't think it works like that. The fact that the shit didn't even appear where they were, like, it just popped up where it wanted to.
What if there's like more than just one? Like, you know what I mean?
And that's why people saw different beasts.
Exactly. Because
And it only just showed one on the monitor.
Because think about it. I feel like if he was imagining this, it was something that was like long lasting. So it just kept popping out. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? So, I don't know.
But like, why would he imagine something like that though? And just let it loose. Maybe he was just sick and tired of being experimented on in this shit.
I could have been that.
And was like, you know what? If I just let this monster out, the monster will take care of all of them.
Breakthroughs or not. So the first one we have is, with the test conducted, scientists were able to tap into a parallel universe known as the Old Universe.
I've heard of the Old Universe before. Have you?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, so supposedly the Earth that we live on right now isn't like the original Earth. Okay. And that there was one before this, but we kind of had to like switch over to this one or move to this one because that one eventually became inhabitable.
Sounds like a theme here. The second breakthrough is some of the subjects at Montauk had time traveled back to see various wars and alien life forms, and this includes the big and little greys, the reptilians, and extra-dimensional beings.
Yeah, we talked about the greys. We didn't talk about the reptilians though. So when we do our next alien species episode, we will definitely be talking about the reptilians because they're very popular. There's a lot of theories about how they're amongst us, okay? Or among us. Amongst us.
There are also humanoid shapes made of hollow glass.
That's weird. Why?
Yeah.
Like, were they alive? Were they moving?
Right.
Like, glass humans.
Questions. No
Humanoid shapes, though. So, that makes me think of AI. Humanoids. But, like, glass AI. And it's hollow. Which is weird.
Weird as fuck.
Just empty. I don't know. This shit is crazy, y'all. It's so crazy.
Allegedly, scientists would observe a subject for a week before they could time travel. Oh, this next one is wild as fuck. Those who returned were expected to give full and detailed reports. Most subjects never returned, and when time traveling, there was usually no way back.
Right. Which we did get into earlier as well.
We did. But full detailed reports? What?
Yeah, and it really makes me think, like, god damn, if all they did was like cement the entrances to this place, and maybe it's not actually filled with water, and they just like left the shit there the way it was, because where else are you gonna put it? It makes me wonder and think, are these reports out there somewhere?
They definitely are. Like,
at least one with all these tests.
I definitely believe they're like in a top secret file or a classified file somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that there was allegedly like about 10,000 people that were tested on throughout all the years.
In 2008, an unidentified animal carcass washed up on shore right outside of Camp Hero.
This shit wild. And this shit's real, actually. And terrifying. So that picture I showed you.
Yeah, I saw that shit. That shit is crazy.
We're gonna put it up because it's so disgusting. And I don't even know what I'm looking at when I look at the damn picture.
Exactly. It looks like a lot of different things.
It does, yeah.
Looking crazy. A few pics were luckily taken before it was washed back out to sea and never seen again. Also never tested for DNA.
So they don't even know what it is. Like, nobody can say what the fuck actually washed up on shore. You know what's weird? There's been quite a few different things that have washed up on shore that are real questionable. Lots of different creatures. Remember that one where it was like supposedly a mermaid?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's washed up on shore, y'all.
Most people believe Montauk was trying to create a super apex animal using the best traits of different species. This carcass was verified to be real on the news.
And when looking at the picture, it looks like a mix of like a cat. Oh, I remember how we were like looking at the pictures of it, and then that explanation of what it could be popped up saying it was a raccoon. That shit is not a raccoon. It had like human fingers, a cat head, and body. It had a beak. Oh my god, ew! It's making my skin crawl just thinking about it. Cause what the fuck was that? And it had like a turkey ass, and it was just like, it was like this.
Yeah. Hey, nah, it's fucking weird. It's like that shit. Like I said, unfathomable things. Like just washing up.
What do you think it was though? Do you think it was just a creature from the ocean, an alien life form, or do you think it was something from this? Because that creature actually washed up on shore right outside of Camp Hero. Like, that's not a coincidence, is it?
I don't think it is. Cause like, what is that, bro? What is
right
that?
outside y'all's doorstep.
How you explain that?
They can't.
How?
I mean, they could, but they won't.
Mm-hmm.
And what's even creepier is nobody knows, like, who was running this and whose idea this was, how they got here. Like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this shit. Look, my hair is raised and stuff.
And to answer your question, honestly, I think it's definitely an experiment. What else could it be? It's not just a regular aquatic animal. But on that side note, I have a theory that most of these weird animals that keep washing up are all experiments. Like,
could be.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
actually. Now we're going to get into the last part, which is part 5. Strange Things About Stranger Things. I love that. Love that title. So yeah, now we're going to transition to Stranger Things and kind of how it relates to Montauk. Wow. So yeah, that was Montauk. What do you think about that? Like, how do you feel?
Man, I can only imagine, like, going through that. Like, that shit is crazy. I would be freaked the fuck out. And then, like, have to live out the rest of your life having nightmares about this place that you honestly don't technically remember, but you remember.
Right, yeah.
Or being a time traveler that's stuck in another time.
Man, that
because
would
they
piss me
fucked up.
off. I'd be mad as hell. I'd be fucking all the timelines up, bruh.
But now look
But thinking about it though, if they really did that and all these people are stuck in space or, you know, in time, and they're stuck in the past, if time travel is real and the butterfly effect, for example, is real, and we will be covering that soon, but yeah, if all of that stuff is real, how come all these people that they sent back and never recovered didn't, like, alter or change anything in history?
Or shit, what if it did, but just in an alternate timeline?
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Because we live on one timeline, and who's to say the other
we're
option?
all slightly different.
Exactly.
Or who's to say that maybe they did affect, like, the past, but we just know it as our reality.
Exactly.
Oh my god. My mind is just getting fucked right now. So our first strange thing about Stranger Things is many people think that the show was inspired by the whistleblower accounts of Montauk or by Nichols' book. So the whistleblowers are just the other people that came forward claiming to be participants in the project, or the inspiration came from Nichols' book, but I'm thinking it was a mix of the both, because you kind of need the both of them to get a full picture and understanding. The more source material you have, the better.
The second strange thing is the show was originally titled Montauk.
That's fire.
That is fire. But
that would have been a bold choice.
That would have been a choice. Yeah. I think it would have been banned. I think it would have got banned.
In the US?
Yeah. I think it probably would have got banned, or like
that would have sucked.
Or postponed. You know how they do shit like
or
that.
They would have had to, like, tone it down a lot.
Definitely.
Number 3, the monster that Elle summons in season 2, which is the Mind Flayer, is inspired by the monster Nichols claimed Montauk was shut down for. And if that's what was summoned, man.
I can only imagine how this.
Why the fuck is it a state park right now? That's what I'm saying. If they summon that shit, that's what we were talking about earlier. Why would they make it a state park? If that shit was real, and like I believe, just because they shut it down doesn't mean that shit just disappears. If he manifests it and makes it permanent, it's permanent. it's here. Regardless.
It's here.
Like,
So,
if he were to die, I'm pretty sure it would still be here. Like, it doesn't just die with him. So, same could be said about the project itself. And it just has me very curious as to why they would open this to the public.
the fourth thing is, Stranger Things has its own version of the Montauk chair, and this is the suit Elle wears while underwater, which is meant to intensify her psychic powers.
I really like those scenes on the
I
show.
do like those scenes, honestly.
Where they show... Well, I really just enjoy them portraying all of the tests and experiments as well. Just because, I don't know, some things... You know how, like, movie critics and people will say, like, oh, I don't need to have a sex scene to know that they had sex. Or, you know, like, something like that. Like, it doesn't need to be graphic and vulgar. But I feel like with a topic like this, to completely understand what you're, like, trying to comprehend, I think being able to picture it and view it allows us to fathom the possibility of something like this, you know? Number 5, the Duffer Brothers planned to film in Long Island, but realized it would not be possible dealing with the super cold winters while filming. So they were planning on filming this shit, like, basically where it happened.
And number 6, all the experiments shown on the show are tame versions of the tests done on the Montauk Boys and countless others.
Yes, which is very obvious.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had to tone it down, because I don't even think people would want to see the realities. Like, imagine if they were recording that shit and had, like, files of the tests that they were doing on folks.
Yeah, at that point...
I don't think I want to see that. Now, this next one is pretty cool, actually. So, Stephen King himself recommended Millie Bobby Brown as Elle because he saw her on the British show Intruders and said she was terrific. I've never seen that show.
I've never seen it either, but that's pretty damn cool to get Stephen King to
Of all people,
recommend you.
a horror master.
Literally.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
In the OG script, Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve were the ones who found the monster with the Christmas lights.
But on the show, what they actually put in there was Joyce. Millie Bobby Brown almost quit acting before landing the iconic role.
Oh, really?
Yeah, damn. But you know what's crazy? I cannot imagine anybody else being 11. Who would it be?
Exactly.
She does it so good.
It's definitely one of those iconic roles where you can only picture that person playing.
Yeah.
Like this whole cast. Like I can imagine anyone else
Dustin.
being...
Yeah.
Dustin's fucking great.
He's one of my favorite characters, and I couldn't imagine anybody else being Dustin, like playing that role. He fits it so well. I don't know.
Yeah.
And same thing with 11. Same thing with Winona Ryder, like playing Will's mom. I love Winona Ryder anyways as an actress, but she really did a good job with this role. And Hopper too. I don't think I can imagine anybody else being Hopper.
And last thing is, season 4 has taken 2 years to film.
This shit was fun. This shit was really great.
I liked it. It was great.
So that was Strange Things About Stranger Things and Montauk.
Tell us about some strange things you know about.
Yeah. The Montauk Project, though, is just so wild, and we really want to pick your guys' brain and hear your thoughts. Definitely. Because, wow. A lot of the shit that they were doing, I just can't even picture that shit being real. Like, at all.
And now we're going to get into the wiggity wind down. So, we have 3 this time around. Actually, probably
we might add a couple, yeah. We might add a bonus or 2.
For sure. The first one is, do you believe the government will ever admit to the project? Hell no is the short answer. But the longer answer is, they did actually admit to, like, owning Camp Hero and, like, the underground portion of it.
But they don't want to admit to what was happening at Camp Hero. I don't think they would ever admit to the project unless something got leaked. And that's that. Just like MK Ultra, they were not trying to talk about that shit, but they had to fuss up once those documents got released. Our second wind down. Does knowing about this make you see Stranger Things in a different way?
Bruh, I be picking it apart in my brain. I be like, so Will is seeing
What's
like
that?
yeah, so Will is over here seeing his deepest, darkest fear right now while Elle is getting all the experiments.
It just makes me analyze the show on a deeper level because I can draw those parallels.
Wind down number 3. Do you think experiments like this are still taking place?
Yes, definitely. Because why stop? Especially with the technology that we have now. Okay, I have another wind down. What is, because, we got a new season approaching. Out of all 3 seasons so far of Stranger Things, what has been your favorite 11 psychic ability scene? Your favorite moment where 11 used her powers?
I'm gonna have to say when Will was about to get thrown off that cliff by
Will?
not Will, but Mike was about to get thrown off that cliff by those bullies, and she kind of stopped it.
She caught him in midair.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. And then beat up the bullies. That's fucking fire.
And then made the bully piss himself.
Yeah, and then he had to go. He had to go and tell the story.
And he was looking crazy as hell. For me, the moment where I was just like, damn, Ella's OP and she's really that girl, was when her and the gang were getting chased down by Papa and the scientists from the facility, and they were chasing the kids on their bikes in these white vans. Those are
van in their own bikes.
No, but white vans are just synonymous with bad things. Yeah. When you see a white van, pull up, run. But they were chasing them in these white vans, and there's this perfect, amazing slow-mo shot of them riding their bikes, and the van is coming up, vastly approaching them, and she just flips that shit.
Oh yeah,
over all of them, and they all go. Cause what?
Nah, that was a cool ass scene.
OP.
Hell yeah.
Hello, OP.
It just solidified this kid is.
They ain't fucking with her.
Yeah.
You know what else I really love is 11 and Hopper's relationship.
It's cute.
Their little bond. So those were our wind down questions, and before we head out, we're going to drop some kind words in your ear. Protect your mind and protect your peace.
Okay, cool. Shit, we just gonna have to agree on that. But that's been episode 62, Strange Things.
About Stranger Things.
And the Montauk Project. But in the midst of all that, while you're checking out those other episodes, make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing, and also leave ratings.
Yes.
I've been your host, DJ.
And I've been your host, Sav.
Catch us in the Upside Down on Deeper Than Most.